What is up, guys? Star Wars Only here, and today we're going to talk about the Bendu Theory, the Bendu and Thrawn theory to be more exact, but more on the Thrawn part later. So, basically, this theory I've gotten off of the Amino app, the Star Wars community. Someone called Fulcrum_101 posted it, and I liked it, and I think it's a very good theory. So, this theory basically, and I'm not going to read it word for word, but I'm going to give you the overall, basically, I'm going to paraphrase a lot of it. How about that? So, what it basically says is that what we know about Bendu is that he's an unknown species, he's a Force user, and he balances out the light and the dark sides of the Force, but the theory here is that Bendu is actually a god worshipped by the ancient people of Atollon, which is the planet that Bendu was on, that was mainly in Season 3 for the Rebels base. So, this theory is that Bendu originates from unknown regions because if you've read the book Aftermath, Palpatine basically believes that the Force originated from unknown parts of space. So there's the Outer Rim, which is basically what it means. It's the outer rim of the galaxy in Star Wars, but there's not a galaxy, but there's planets outside of that go further on, and it's the unknown regions. There's no hyperspace routes really out there, and Palpatine's working on routes out there and everything to rebuild the Empire, do whatever. So he's been working on stuff like that to get closer to the Force because he believes the Force is from the outer regions. And that's really cool to think of it itself. That's something that I really wish they would explore on, because stuff like that, the unknown, is really interesting, which I love. If you haven't watched my videos, that's something I'm really into. So basically, they think that the Bendu has existed as a god, and he has been alive as long as the Force existed, which is basically forever, and that there are two other gods, or maybe even more, which are the god of the light and the god of the dark, and he's in the middle, as he states in the Rebels, on the one in the middle, the Bendu. And the god part, I don't really necessarily agree with. I'm not fond of the gods kind of stuff, like in Dragon Ball Z, the gods and everything, and that stuff gets a little out of hand for me. But it is interesting because if you do listen to the Bendu talk to Kanan and Kanan, he's like Kanan Jedi Knight. He talks about the dark side and the light, but he calls him a different name when he's talking to him for the first time, and it sounds like an ancient name. Like the Bendu could be an ancient name of a different, not basically a different civilization or different language. So he calls the dark side something and the light side something else. I can't pronounce it because I don't speak that language. But so it's kind of interesting to think that in a past time, dark and light were called completely different things. So him being alive as old as he is, it's true basically. I mean, he's been around for a very long time, and he says that he's seen the holocrons mixed once before and everything, and you get great wisdom, but you also get a lot of danger with it. So he's very old. So he could, he's one of those things that could be like Yoda as a Force ghost and live on forever. So there's that. After the light and dark were declared enemies over a millennium before the Star Wars saga, Bendu came to Atollon to live a quiet, peaceful life. That's not confirmed, but he did say he wanted to be on Atollon to live a peaceful life, and even Dave Filoni said something about that, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So the theory goes on to say the Bendu, in a way, is similar to the son and daughter of Mortis, which is, I don't think so, but I do like that because the theory says how he can change and shape forms, and I see that because he blends in with Atollon, the planet and the nature. He blends in with it, so it makes a lot of sense that he would be able to shape his form a little bit. And they did talk about how he became a storm and everything. I don't think that's entirely true that he became a storm. I think he just built one up around him because, Thrawn said shoot at the middle, and it killed him. I mean, it didn't kill him, but it knocked him down. So obviously he was in the middle of the storm, controlling it there, unlike the son and the daughter, which could turn into different beasts and whatnot. But they couldn't turn into everything, I don't think, at least. But they could turn into certain people and beings, but nothing like specific objects, and I don't know if they could control storm or not, but still. So it's cool to see, big, powerful Jedi wielders and stuff like this. So what we know about Atollon is that it's a lesser-known territory in the Outer Rim. The Outer Rim is obviously the outside of the galaxy, which is close to the unknown regions, and Bendu does talk about how, it's a peace and quiet place, and even Thrawn in the finale says that there was an ancient civilization in the Atollon sector, and that they were fans of art, and they were ancient. I mean, because he says, these were an ancient civilization, and just like the Bendu, they're very old. So these old people that used to live in Atollon or used to live in that sector could have worshipped the Bendu, and Bendu could have taught him how to control the spiders and be, kind of be at peace with them. And still, I mean, that's pretty cool. And I think this is a great theory because it makes sense. I would love to hear the story behind Bendu and how what happened to him when he was, there when the ancient civilizations had the dark versus light and everything. So there's a lot of backstory that we need to go through for the Bendu, which is very cool. Now, what does this have to do with Thrawn? Well, as you know, he tells Thrawn, I see your defeat. And what's cool about this is Thrawn's also from the kind of unknown areas of the galaxy as well, which means they're kind of related in that way because they're both very unknown. I mean, you've never seen another species like Thrawn, and in Legends, he comes from the outer rims, the unknown regions of the space, which is very, very cool. I like that. So in this theory is something that I really wish would happen is that Thrawn basically goes looking for Bendu to, see his destiny or find out how he will be defeated and everything. And this could happen in the Thrawn book, or the Thrawn book's most likely going to be before this, but still, this could happen later on, and it would be very cool if it did. If Thrawn went to go look for the Bendu and see what the Bendu really is, because he can't really tell, the other Imperials and be like, oh, hey, by the way, this Bendu thing, it's a Force wielder. People are going to be like, no, the Force is fake. That's how the Empire works. They don't talk about the Jedi, they don't talk about the Sith. They don't know Vader's a Sith, and they don't know the Emperor's a Sith. At least I think they know Vader is, but not the Emperor. So he could talk to the Emperor about it, and that would be kind of cool to see, especially the Emperor went to go hunt for him and something like that. That would be very cool. So what do you guys think about this? Do you think Bendu is actually a god? I don't think he's a god, but I do think he is a very powerful Force wielder because he talks about how powerful he is compared to Kanan and Ezra, and he tells them how mixing the holocrons is something that their species can't understand, which in my mind means that okay, they can't handle that stuff, but the Bendu can. So his species or his kind of force wielding breed, whatever you would call it, people that are like him, other beings that are like him, big powerful force wielders can handle that kind of stuff. So it's very interesting to think about, and I think this is something that a lot of fans haven't paid attention to, but really should. I mean, he even said with the Sith holocron, the shadow of the lore or something like that. I mean, he talks about a lot of ancient stuff, which is really cool. So it's got a lot of backstory to it that I think people should explore, or at least in the Lucasfilm and Disney should make books about it or something to give us a little more of that history that we want from the Bendu, and also where the unknown regions of Star Wars are and how the Force came to be. And I think Bendu has that answer, other than just they're midichlorians. So yeah, what do you guys think about this theory? I really do like the thought of, the Force coming from an unknown region, and that's where how all this really started, but the light and the dark fighting, and the light and the dark's been a constant battle for millions of years, and the Bendu was there, and that's why he called them an ancient language and whatnot. I think that's really cool. So comment your thoughts below. Hope you guys enjoyed this small little theory. Yeah, just give me your theories below. I really want to talk about this Bendu stuff. I think he's really cool. So comment, like, subscribe. I will see you all next time. Comment your theories below. May the Force be with you always.